Mall Cop is one of my favorite childhood movies, like, ever. And going back and rewatching it, part of me kind of wishes that I didn't. Not saying it is, like, overly awful or anything, and I still did laugh at a couple things, but it does feel a little bit lazy at some points in the movie, and, it's kind of just like the same formula, just in a different setting that we've seen in a lot of comedy movies. But, I mean, nothing that I'm gonna hate on too much because I still did enjoy the movie, which I literally rewatched about 3 minutes ago. Um, but part of me remembers it being a lot better than it actually is. But I'm gonna go into some stuff that I like and stuff that I don't like. But first, like the plot of the movie, we get our guy, the mall cop. I think his name is Paul or Blarton. Paul Blarton. Basically, he's just this like failed. I think he wants to be like some kind of officer. Um, I can't quite remember, even though I just watched the movie. And he basically just fails at it pretty hard, like really hard. And he's stuck for the past 10 years as a mall officer. Pretty sure his only girlfriend, which obviously he had his daughter with, was just someone who's trying to look for a green card. So she fucked off, and and he lives at home with his mum and his daughter, and he is incredibly sad. He is lonely. He is sad. He takes his job as an officer, well, as a security guard, way too seriously. Even going down to the point where he is saying that he preferably likes to be called a security officer, and really trying to really rank up. As every other security guard in the mall is kind of just more clocking in, clocking out, not really giving too much of a shit unless something like serious happens. At one point he stopped a old man on one of them little scooter things, because he was going too fast in a mall where he wasn't even going fast, and called it reckless driving and tried to write him a ticket. See, it's just like that kind of thing. He is incredibly goofy, it's very charming for the character of Mall Cop. Um, and you basically get to know him pretty well through the movie as this kind of goofy, sad guy, and then he sees this girl after his daughter and his mother really urge him to go on this dating website, which they set up him a profile for, just to find his match. He sees this girl at the mall, and he thinks that she is all. Her name is Amy, by the way. He thinks Amy is everything, the most beautiful strawberry red hair, that literally ever. Just the most beautiful, perfect angel. Um, then he goes on security cameras because he, as staring at her, falls into a car that was on like them cars on the display, like just kind of displayed. I guess it's like a new car out, I assume. So he falls into that. Then he goes into security cameras and looks at him, and then looks at her. Sorry, and then as we go on, he kind of just stalks her. Goes back forth on his little scooter thingy. We see him just look at her. She kind of asks like, "Can I help you?" And he is like, "I just wanted to welcome you to the mall because she recently opened up like this hair salon at the mall that he works at." And then she goes, "Is that it?" And then he awkwardly asks for, I'm pretty sure, like a toupee or some shit, or hair extensions, which he never wears, but it'd have been funny to see him wear. And then, he goes home, he's all upset and everything. And then at some point, like, they go to this bar because she was invited by this really annoying guy, who just like basically just calls like our main guy Paul fat and all this shit. He is super annoying, and you will learn to hate his character immediately, and inevitably for the rest of the movie, because no one will ever like a character like that. Obviously, it's how they're written. And they go to this bar thing. Paul gets insanely drunk and just embarrasses the fuck out of himself, and basically just destroys the only chance he has with this Amy girl. Like, it is really embarrassing, but also at the same time, it had me giggling through a lot of it. But through a lot of the movie, Paul seems to fall over, trip over, be embarrassed. At one point, after he has his hair extensions from Amy, that he buys for like just under like $10, he gets called to go do something to do with at Victoria's Secret, where two women are fighting over a bra. And he goes there, he's like, what's the problem, ladies? And there's one bra left at the sides, and they're both fighting for it. So Paul asks this one the bigger woman to come over. She's not like fat or anything. I wouldn't say like huge or anything. But he goes to her and he's like, look, I know we've had, I've been there, I'm still there, you know what I mean? We're a bit fat and whatever, no need to be ashamed kind of thing. So she fucking just beats the shit out of him. Like, no mercy or nothing. She just beats the fuck into him. And that's kind of when Paul he kind of backs off a little bit. He's like, yeah, okay. Fuck. I'm fucked. Back up, because this new trainee, I forgot to mention the trainee. The trainee comes in and Paul's kind of showing him the ropes. Well, he's doing too much, but he's supposed to be showing him the ropes. So yeah, he's like, train, help, and trainee just sits there, and then on the way back, whatever, they talk about it, and it's very funny. And then like the next thing that really happens, like, big part of the story, is that the mall gets taken over, gets shut down because a bunch of robbers are inside, and their goal is to. So I think there's a couple of them. They all get like 5 stores each, and they get codes and they write them on their hand. You know them pens that you write in your hand, you can't see it, so you do the UV light over it. One of them pens, and they have the UV light on the necklace, and basically, he finds out. He doesn't realize that Mole's been taken over because he's playing Guitar Hero. Then when he leaves, he's like, oh shit. And he goes to leave, but as he exits the building where there's a bunch of police officers around, surrounded or whatever, he sees that Amy's car's parked out, so he goes back in and does some heroic shit. He, like, body slams a lady through a vent. He pushes one guy on a skateboard through the glass ceiling, and then they fall into a ball pit. Then he headbutts this dude who sounds like Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles. He fucking beats someone up, and then like slams this sauna. You know them like saunas you lay in, you put the things over your eyes, and you just get tanned. One of them, he's just like slamming it on this dude's head, so it just beats the fuck into him. Then he goes around, he changes his uniform up a little bit, gets into a black uniform from like just the clothing stores and everything. He smashes open this card stop because it's Amy's birthday on the day that she gets kidnapped, funny enough. So, they're all kidnapped in the bank because they're all trying to like cash out their checks on Friday, and obviously it's Black Friday, so the sales, everything, and all the money and blah blah blah. And eventually we get to a point where Paul's trying to rescue everyone. He's knocked out all the other guards. He did this really cool thing, this like animal cafe thing with like the smoke, and he just takes them out one by one like fucking Batman. And then you get to this end bit, where just before we never see the mall again. His daughter is now there because she went to bring him lunch with his key card. And then she gets captured, put in the bank as well. And after some communicating and all this stuff, he manages to get there. Okay. He manages to get there, and he's trying to like pull him up through the vent. And this hot sauce guy, he's like fucking huge, and he couldn't lift him up. And then that's when our main guy, who I also forgot to mention, this is a plot twist, but I was gonna say it, but I guess I'm just gonna say it now anyway, because fucking why not? So it's actually the trainee is the main mastermind behind it, but who really cares? Yeah, and then he's like, oh, this is funny, whatever. Mall cop splashes hot sauce at this guy to try beat him up, and then he just stands there going, looking for congratulations for just throwing hot sauce in this guy's eye, which currently, it partially blinds him for a couple seconds, and then he just does nothing. So then the main bad guy just doesn't get phased and just kidnaps his daughter and his crush. And then we move on to the airport scene, or just before that. Basically, this is like this SWAT arrives, and this main SWAT guy kind of tries to take over literally everything. and um, and he used to bully Mall Cop in high school. That's how they know each other. And he's like, "Oh, this guy's not a badass." And then when he says that, the building explodes and shit. And then at the end, Paul gets into that car he crashed into earlier, smashes it through the window. SWAT guy gets in. They start driving. Um, or Paul drives, but then eventually they swap, and then he tries to jump onto the van that, Mr. Kidnapper's, his van. He misses, and he runs through the field of like trees and shit. And then it gets to the airport scene. Before they get on the plane, Paul kind of tackles this guy to the ground. But obviously, through the film, if you watched it or have been watching it, you would know Paul has this sugar thing, and if he doesn't eat sugar like once an hour or some shit, he just falls over and just fucking dies, or something on those lines. So yeah, Paul kind of tries to wrestle him, and they fall to the ground and like, the sugar thing. But no, it was a trick, because then he like ninja spins and kicks the guy over or some shit, something like that. And then he gets up and he starts beating, handcuffing him. And then the SWAT guy comes like, "Oh wow, congratulations! It's impressive, you managed to beat a guy up with a gun without a gun and make an arrest." And then he points the gun at Paul and be like, "Yeah, checkmate, buddy, checkmate. I'm on the bad guy team." And then just as Paul destroys the phone with all the like numbers on it, he's like, "You realize I don't need that phone, right? You fucking idiot." So then he gets shot by Paul's boss, who just kind of showed up there apparently, and then it's the end of the movie, and Paul gets to go. An honorary member, an honorary character that's probably one of my favorites. I can't remember his name, but the phone that Paul uses throughout the movie was his friend's daughter's phone, and his friend's daughter's boyfriend or ex-boyfriend keeps on calling him throughout the movie, and he's very, very funny. And the only reason Paul knew where he was going is because when the bad guy kidnapped his crush and daughter, he the boyfriend had the tracker on the phone, so they managed to get where they were going. But overall, it's not a very strong movie. Visually, I think it was pretty good. All the effects and practical and everything. It looks pretty funny, and it had a lot of funny moments. It had a lot of jokes that didn't quite hit or land, and just the first stretch of the movie was very painful to watch. Even though I think it's obviously how it was intended to watch. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be like, "Oh yeah, that guy. Oh yeah." It kind of just that kind of thing, just like very cringy, I didn't find a lot of the beginning funny, but as soon as the mall got taken over, I found it more and more funny. But nothing too thing. It has a good soundtrack. It got it had like Mr. Blue Sky and everything in it, so it was pretty okay. I did laugh at some bits. Some bits I just really did not like the entire beginning section. I'm not a huge fan of, but there was some moments that I liked, and there were some moments I didn't like. So overall, I'm probably gonna give this one like a maybe 63%. Nothing bad. I wouldn't say the movie's bad at all. I just say like in my childhood, it would have been higher. But as an overall rating of the movie, a 63%. Overall rating of how much I enjoyed it, it's probably more of a 65. Not a big difference. I think I enjoyed it just a little bit more than I liked the movie. Just like having fun watching it. Overall, how now for the how much I enjoyed it meter that I've been doing recently, I'd say I enjoyed it a bit more than the actual. I think I enjoyed it more than I thought the movie was good. So I'd probably give it a 70% instead of a 63, just because I think I slightly just enjoyed it a bit more. But anyway, that's about it. Thank you.